Hello students, Ron here from L.T.L Tutoring Central, and today I'm talking about following directions. This sounds like the obvious. Of course you should follow directions. Everybody knows that. But does everyone do it? No. A lot of students don't follow directions. Never mind students, a lot of people just don't follow directions. You buy a new product and you try to make it work, and never mind the directions, I can figure this out on my own. Well, sometimes you can. Sometimes it's fairly logical and fairly simple. But if you're learning something, particularly if you're learning something new, following directions is really important because they will help you get to where you need to go quicker, easier, and probably with better quality. Your answers will be the kind of answers that the teacher is looking for. So sometimes you can reach an answer, but it's not necessarily the answer, or you've not shown your work, or you've left out something that was required and it was stated in the directions. And directions also often have examples, particularly for subjects like math or science. And looking at the examples can be really, really helpful. And you can look at the answer and work your way sort of backwards in the steps also to see, okay, how did they get to that answer? So directions and examples are really, really important. So make sure that you take the time to read them and follow them as closely as you can. And you should do this even before you ask for help, because if you can work out a lot of the problems on your own, you're going to remember the material a lot better because you've actually done the sort of legwork, and it's going to retain in your memory much, much longer for having done that. So don't forget to read the directions, follow the directions, look at the examples. Sometimes it might be on a previous page in your book, so you may need to turn back a page or even a few pages at the beginning of the chapter. Maybe they explained how to do these kinds of questions. But don't be afraid to use that to help yourself to learn new material. And I'm going to look at a little example in the next slide. Now here's a little example, and it's a true example. I use this for some of my students. It's a math exercise. And you can see there are some questions below, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And it says, what is the mean of these sets of numbers and round to one decimal? And a lot of students will just jump right in and start answering the questions without reading the box above. And this is on the same sheet. All you have to do is look at the top. And there's a box there, and it describes what the mean is, and it gives a very clear example showing you that if you have a series of numbers, you add them all together. In this case, you get a total of 49. And then you divide by the number of numbers, and you have 9 numbers, so 49 divided by 9 equals 5.4. So this gives you a very clear definition, direction, and example that you can use to sort of attack these questions below and know that you are doing the correct thing. Also, read the direction round to one decimal place, because some of these may have several decimals, and if it says round to one decimal place, if you put 3 or 4 numbers after the decimal, technically that answer is wrong, or at least partially wrong. So you would probably lose at least part of your marks because of not following the directions. So always try to follow the directions. It's usually very easy to find them, and look at the examples to help you as well. Now you might say, okay, following directions and examples, that makes sense for math, maybe science, but not every course. But you know, at some point in every course probably, there will be some assignment in which you need to follow directions. And this includes English. So if you were given an essay assignment for English, the teacher normally provides some fairly clear directions on what his or her expectations are. So you should read those carefully and read the rubric. I'm going to talk about rubrics in another video, but look carefully at the directions and what those expectations are. Is it a 5-paragraph essay? Is it a personal essay, in which case you can use personal pronouns. But if it's a formal essay that's not a personal essay, you should not use personal pronouns. Are there certain themes that are required to be included, or certain figurative language that's expected to be included within the essay? Is it a research essay? There's lots of information that may be in those directions, and I've seen lots of students who've written an essay, got it returned to them, don't know what went wrong. When we go over the directions or the rubric along with the essay, we find lots of missing detail, even things like a title page with the proper formatting. All of that can be found in the directions, and sometimes even in English they provide examples of an essay or a paragraph or a quotation analysis. So don't be afraid to look at all of that resource material to help yourself. If you didn't get directions for a certain math assignment or science work, for example, you can often find directions and examples on the internet. You can Google it, look it up, look at some videos, look at some text directions to help yourself in that way as well. But the best ones come from the teacher of the course that you're currently doing. So in the next slide, I'll have some contact information for me. I hope to hear from you. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you like. Check out my Facebook page. Contact me by email if you have any questions. Or of course, if you want to set up to be with a tutor, I'm always willing to help you in person or online. My name again is Ron Johnson, L.T.L. Tutoring Central. Contact information coming up. Here's a bit of my contact information. I'm with L.T.L. Tutoring Central. The website is www.tutoringcentral.com and the email tutoringcentral@hotmail.com. Under the video, I'm going to put some other links to Twitter, Facebook, course you can take to better your study skills, etc.